Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Double Feature Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Hunter. Hey.
And I am Nicholas Ayres, the second, on the first.
Huh. I mean, very interesting. Sorry.
One of a kind.
I was very taken aback by that introduction. No, yeah, second episode of this podcast, and we're starting off great.
Starting off strong.
Very. Yeah. I'm excited about this episode because I get to talk about a movie I've already watched.
And I get to talk about a movie I've already watched.
Yeah. And they're both directed by the same person.
Yeah. We each recommended a movie to each other that we've both seen. But we're going to get into that later.
Yeah. Because we got news. We got news that came out like days after we were done recording.
Yeah.
And it's pretty big news. The Writers Guild of America are on strike again. They were on strike in 2007, 2008. And that ruined a couple of films back then. And, well...
You mean like Transformers Dark Side of the Moon?
It was Revenge of the Fallen, I believe, but yeah, ruined Transformers.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got that
Even
mixed
though
up.
I don't know if that could really be ruined. But yeah, famously, the 2007-2008 Writers Guild strike sort of halted some productions, sort of caused some complications with productions, and the two biggest examples are Transformers 2 and Quantum of Solace, the second James Bond movie featuring Daniel Craig. And yeah, Hollywood's still not doing their job, or studios aren't doing their job because these guys are going on strike again. Yeah.
They're not paying their writers.
Nope.
Not paying their writers enough.
When will they learn? When will they learn that their actions
have consequences?
Yeah. So, the main point, and this is something I read up on just quickly. The main reason why the strike is going on, for those who don't know, is payment, of course, but from streaming media in general. They claim that the residuals suck compared to the income they received a decade ago. Yeah, it says right here, the WGA claims the AMPTP, which is what the hell? The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. Share of such residuals has cut much of the writers' average incomes compared to a decade ago. And there's another reason, which is writers also... I'm reading verbatim from the wiki article here. Writers also wanted artificial intelligence such as ChatGPT, God damn it. To be used only as a tool that can help research or facilitate script ideas and not be used as tools to replace them. My opinion is very fair. Like, especially now, because, like, ChatGPT is, like, it's kind of scary how like easily it can just come up with ideas, and I as an aspiring writer myself, I'm afraid that like that will not be used as a tool if it improves more and more, because you could just type out a prompt and say, hey, write a story about this, and it'll give you a random well, not really random story, but just like create a story out of thin air, which studios might take as like, oh, we don't need to keep paying these writers. So it's kind of, it is very smart of them to like go on strike and be like, hey, if you guys were to use this, use it as a tool and not as a, like, basically a job.
Right.
So, yeah, very, very glad of these boys. The boys, girls, people.
They, thems.
That makes it sound awful.
We cut that part out.
We love our boys. And okay, we're moving on. No, but yeah, apparently late night shows are gonna be they're definitely gonna be stunted first because they're, you know, one of the I guess consistent the ones that have consistent use of writers. Like,
do you mean like the late night shows?
Yeah.
Does that include like SNL, or is it just like talk shows?
I think SNL is also included in that sort of thing, because it takes like, if they prepare in like weeks, in months. So
yeah, I think it takes like a week or so to make one episode.
It's very
like
quick,
right for one episode.
But it's a lot of like work with writers, and so they're gonna be stunted.
They're gonna have to come up with their own jokes for once.
Well, you know who did that really well during the 2007 and 8 writer's strike? Conan O'Brien. Yeah, Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the algorithm on YouTube is like showcasing that, because I watch Conan on my own time, and like the stuff he created during the writer's strike is so bizarre, yet it's so like it's filled with a lot of DIY charm. And because Conan is genuinely funny on his own, he started off as a writer himself. He like knows how to actually craft jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
And just wing it. So yeah,
I mean, he used to write for The Simpsons, so, which is like, you know, one of the funniest cartoons ever made, probably.
Yeah, and he did during the good seasons anyway, so.
Yeah. Before the fall.
Yeah. But yeah. Go writers. I don't know how to end it, but in all seriousness, I hope the Writers Guild, they get the residuals they deserve, because writers definitely carry a lot of they carry Hollywood, essentially. Like, if there weren't any writers coming up with any ideas, Hollywood wouldn't exist. So pay them.
Exactly. They're a very, 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 very important part of the film industry. And I wish that Hollywood would understand that.
Yeah. Speaking of...
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh.
Crap.
Well, it's okay, because we'll move on to another segment where hopefully you do know what to say, because it's about the movies we watched this week.
Oh.
Yeah. I've watched quite a few. especially in the past 5 days. I've watched a lot of movies.
I haven't been watching a lot because I've been sleep deprived, sadly.
I feel you. But yeah, wow. I look at it now. I'm looking at my diary right now. A lot of 9 out of 10s as of recent. But I'll start if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, I traveled an hour and a half to go see Sisu, the Scandinavian action movie, where a Finnish man is literally too angry to die. It's fun.
He's too angry to die. What does that mean?
He's basically the Finnish Doom guy, where he just doesn't die at all, and is
That's pretty base.
silent most of the movie. Yeah, it's just fun. It's not supposed to be. It's not trying to be something. It's not. It's not trying to be like this very thought-provoking thing. No, it's just about a Finnish dude, an old Finnish dude. Well, old Scandinavian dude, old Finnish dude, just killing Nazis. I think that's.
I was gonna ask what time period it takes place in, but I guess that answered my question.
Yeah, World War II. It's very, very fun. Too bad it's just not like premiering everywhere on. It's not premiering worldwide, which is weird because I'm pretty sure a lot of people watched or seen that trailer, but then they just gave it a limited release. Like, why are you gonna why are you gonna market the movie so much and not premiere or
That's
not
weird.
put it in theaters worldwide? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird decision on their part. But yeah, another one of note I want to talk about is Sexy Beast by director Jonathan Glazer.
Oh, you watch Sexy Beast, the Grand Theft Auto 5 movie?
Yes, and it's not the Netflix TV show, by the way. It is not that one. Every time I've searched up a fucking clip of Sexy Beast that I just want to see Ben Kingsley. I do not want to see people in prosthetics with animal-like features. It freaks me out. Stop it. But yeah, Sexy Beast is a fun movie. It's so bizarre. It was a lot more bizarre than I thought it would be. No, I thought it would be just like above average crime film, because like looking at the ratings, you have a 3.8 out of 5, which is really good. But I didn't know how unique it would be. Yeah, Jonathan Glazer, great director. Watched Under the Skin, love that. Excited for his next movie, which is apparently premiering in Cannes this month. So, yeah. Called Zone of Interest. Very interesting. There are more people that want to watch Zone of Interest than Fast X. At least on Letterboxd.
I mean, people appreciate art. I mean, as it should be,
Yeah, they appreciate art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfectly balanced.
As all things should be.
Exactly.
Bars. I also watched last one I'm gonna mention is I watched Collateral, another crime film. A lot of crime going on, a lot of action. But
A
yeah.
lot of devious activity going on.
Mhm. Especially in Collateral. Uh, Michael Mann film. It was one of his. I think it was the first movie he started using digital cameras, and so it has that very grainy, lot of motion blur to it, almost like it's someone picked up a camcorder and just started filming the movie. But and I watched Miami Vice first instead of this movie, which was like the first of its kind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought that
I
was a
think it works
TV
a lot.
show.
It works a lot better in here.
Is
Just
Miami
the
Vice a TV show, or am I?
yeah, it is a TV show, but there was also a movie adaptation directed
Oh,
by Michael Mann. Yeah, I should have clarified that. Um, yeah,
oh, good.
it's like this very noisy digital look to it, but again, I think it works better in Collateral than in Miami Vice, because Miami Vice was known for being like a TV show with pretty high production design and interesting visuals. Wow, you know, the movie adaptation looks like a snuff film in terms of noise quality. I mean, it's a unique style, but
Is it like? Are we talking like digital noise, or is it like
yeah,
high
digital noise.
aperture? Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's like I don't know.
Kind of
It's
like that
just,
lost footage kind of
yeah.
feel. Okay, I
Well, not
got you.
really lost footage. It's just really noisy. And Michael Mann loves to shoot night scenes, so it's just
Mm,
I don't know. It doesn't work.
I do love a good night scene if it's done right.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it wasn't done right.
No.
Um,
Collateral. Like, well, I don't know. Not to get on a tangent about it, but yeah, it's just like Miami Vice, colorful, right? This it just looks yeah,
meh.
but Collateral, it I don't know, feels a lot more real, and because the story feels a lot more real, I think it works a lot better. But
Hmm.
yeah, Collateral, beautiful. Michael Mann, love him. Jada Pinkett Smith is in Collateral. No, she does not tell Will Smith to slap someone.
I
Ha
was
ha
just about
ha
to
ha
make
ha
a. I was
ha.
just about to make a Will Smith joke. You beat me to it.
I wasn't happy about it, but I did it. Yeah. What did you watch this week?
Oh geez, I watched Rocky for the first time.
Oh yeah, and
Uh, 4 stars.
4 stars.
You know, it's Rocky. That's really what I put in my review. Just Rocky.
Yeah, it was. I knew it was made for cheap, but it never felt. It did. I don't know. It didn't feel like it was ever cheap to me. There were some aspects that were, but just I don't know. I thought it was like really well made.
Yeah, honestly, like um, I thought that it had a higher budget than it did, because it, like you said, it doesn't look that cheap, at least not all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the acting in it was kind of, not the best at times. Oh, but Rocky, it was a classic movie. There's not really much to say about it. If you haven't seen it, uh, I definitely would. Um, I I probably wouldn't have watched it if it weren't for um this series I do on Letterboxd that I stole from Hunter. Where I didn't mean to steal it from him, but
No, we had the same idea, and you know what? It's pretty neat.
yeah,
It's also one I haven't done in a while.
yeah. You did it for Kiki's delivery service, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it because I wanted to shout it out later.
Later.
I'm a marketing genius. Come on.
You're a marketer.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I also saw you watched another film, an Adam McKay film.
Ooh, gotta love that Adam McKay. He's such a good director with his freeze frames and his witty humor. Gotta love that guy. No, but I was just scrolling on Prime Video, right? And I saw Christian Bale. Well, I didn't know it was Christian Bale at first. I thought it was just some like old guy. I was like, why does he look so familiar? And I look at the cast list, and it's Christian Bale. It's Christian Bale. I'm like, what the what did they do to him?
They turn him into a big boy.
They turn him into a big old fat man.
What was the movie called? I already know the movie, but share it with the audience.
Vice.
Oh.
It's called Vice.
Oh.
I don't know if I said it yet. Adam McKay's got a vice on all of us with his amazing
He's
director.
got advice.
He's got advice for all the young directors out there. Just make a movie with Christian Bale and put him in prosthetics. Make him look old. Make him look fat. Just like... And make it about a guy named Dick Cheney.
The Vice during the George Bush era. Yeah, I was not a fan of that movie, and I don't think you were.
It's just bad. I don't know. Just how it like talks down to you. Kind of like this is like a spoiler, but like halfway through they do like a fake out ending where they like roll the credits and then like, oh, the movie's not actually over. You thought it was going to be a good ending. And it's like, okay. What's the point of that? You know?
Yeah.
Why?
No, I understand.
For the funny, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, my first experience with Adam McKay was watching what's it called? Don't Look Up. Like that movie, the movie about the meteor with
Jesus Christ.
with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence.
Don't talk about it, please. Let's not get into that because I'm gonna be here forever.
See, I never even finished that movie, so I can't talk about it. Thankfully,
I did.
How did you get through it?
Did I feel great after watching it? No.
Well, I mean, you probably did because it was over. Probably felt good because it was over, right?
No, because it sucked it sucked everything out of me. I felt like shit.
Yeah. I actually fell asleep during Vice. I'm not even kidding.
Very, very fair. Yeah,
That's how bad it was.
I hate it.
Let's move on. I think we're both. I think I'm making us uncomfortable talking about this.
Yeah. I just don't want to talk about Adam McKay, man. We're gonna have a double feature with his like satirical comedies. Talk about how horrible each and every one of them are.
Oh yeah, we got to do a whole episode on Mr. McKay.
Because yeah, I'm not gonna get into it. I was about to go get into it, but you know what we should get into? Yeah, this is a transition, mother. We are going into Untouchable, or The Untouchables. Jesus, I just messed up that transition. God damn it.
Oh. It's all good. They know.
Adam
Adam
McKay.
It's in the title.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the title. You already know what you're here for, and let's get into it. All right. We wasted enough time. Let's get into the Brian De Palma double feature. And let's talk about the first movie, The Untouchables. Now, what is The Untouchables? What is it about? Nick, do you want to share?
It's about Prohibition and Al Capone and the guy who took him down. Yeah. The cop that took him down.
Kevin Costner did it all.
Yeah, Kevin Costner, also known as Saul Goodman. That's a Better Call Saul reference for all the people that don't know. But yes. Basically, in Better Call Saul, they make a joke that he looks like Kevin Costner. But yeah.
Okay, I didn't get it, but no, yeah, exactly. Kevin Costner plays Elliot Ness. He takes down Al Capone because he's tired of the corruption, and so are 3 other officers, one of which is Sean Connery.
And Sean Connery asks him, "What are you gonna do about it?" And you know what? He does something about it.
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, yeah, no, love the movie. I like, but I knew picking Blowout would be like a good comparison to The Untouchables, because Blowout is very much a stylistic movie. A lot of like, it's very loose in terms of like what it will do with in terms of telling the story, but The Untouchables is very tight knit, yet it doesn't really lose a lot of the stylistic traits of a De Palma film.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with Brian De Palma, so I don't fully understand his style, but after watching these 2 movies, I think I'm starting to understand a bit more.
Yeah. No, he's been described as the master of suspense, and I have to say both these movies are quite suspenseful. Especially during one scene in The Untouchables, which do you want to get into right now? That beautiful scene.
Should probably put in a spoiler warning.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers. Yeah, it's at the end of the movie.
Untouchables good. If you don't want to hear this anymore, leave. But yeah. Very famous scene though, the stairwell scene during during the third act.
That's the scene I always think about whenever I think of this movie, because I have seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
That scene really stands out in my mind, and it's also been used in like countless video essays on YouTube.
Well, yeah, it's easy to understand why. It's like masterfully crafted.
Yeah,
There
it's just it's
so much.
perfect.
Yeah, so many things are going on during that scene, and yet it doesn't feel like it's losing track of any of it. It's just like showing it go on, and it's intense too. You
Mhm.
know, you have and I like this touch because they said it earlier. They're not afraid to kill kids in this movie. It opens up with a literal child death
Oh
from a
yeah.
bombing. So when you see that stroller like bouncing down the stairwell while there's a gunfight going on and bullets are hitting the stroller, you're like, shit, is this kid gonna be all right?
Yeah.
It works so well.
Mhm.
I like
I didn't even think about that when I was watching it. I guess that
it
adds like a whole other dimension to the scene.
absolutely it does. Yeah, no, without it, like there's no problem with that scene at all. It's a perfect scene, and it's definitely like it deserves its status as like one to study and to
Mhm.
you know learn from it.
I
Although,
think that
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think that like every film editor, like every editor should watch that scene because it's just like so perfectly edited together.
Yeah,
It just has that emotional sort of through line throughout it all.
yeah,
And yeah.
and I think directors definitely should watch it as well because it's
Oh yeah.
just like setting that entire thing up, especially because of how fast it would go while shooting it because it's filmed in slow motion. You have to make
Yeah.
sure everything in frame is going on as perfectly as it should.
Mhm.
But yeah, um, although I can't say the movie constantly keeps that uh sort of level of filmmaking. Not to say that it gets bad at all, but it starts to there are some points where it just it's not too extraordinary, I guess. But this is my opinion. I liked it. Um yeah, I liked it, but it's I don't know. There's some moments in it. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the entirety of the movie, at least?
You know, I think as a whole, it is a good movie. Um, some scenes maybe don't carry the same amount of quality throughout. Um, I think I know what you mean when when you said that because a lot of I guess some of the scenes were kind of shot like an old western almost. There's this kind
Yeah,
of part in the middle where they're trying to stop a shipment of beer, and it just feels like a western movie because you got like everyone firing guns and like camping out in a house like waiting for them to drive up.
yeah, I, yeah. That
And it's kind of shot like a western, like with very you know
well,
um
actually, I think that is one of my favorite aspects of the entire movie, which is that sometimes the movie feels a lot older than it is. I think there's some intention with that. There's because being, I don't know. It just I wrote in my notes about this actually. Um, yeah, feels very old Hollywood at points is what I said.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, and I mean we watched recently, especially for or specifically for our podcast, the Magnificent Seven. So I know what old Hollywood is like. All right, punks.
Yeah, I've seen Citizen Kane.
Mm-hmm.
I know what old Hollywood is.
Exactly.
I've seen
all you. All right. No, but one of my biggest problems with this movie, I just want to get it out of the way. Just this, in terms of cons for this movie, tone. I think the biggest problem with this movie is the tone, because like previous stated, it feels old Hollywood at points, but then you have scenes that are like very tonally different from each other. You know, you have like it feels like a hurrah type feeling to it at points, like, yeah, it's good guys are getting bad guys, and I know they're supposed to be like, oh, you know, the bad guys are succeeding at this point, but like some of those scenes are dark.
Yeah,
like, a
it
lot
gets
darker
very
than the
dark.
they're a lot darker than the rest of the movie. Like in particular the and we briefly mentioned this already, but the bombing of the little girl, which it was, I don't know about you, and I feel horrible like just mentioning this, but I kind of broke out laughing when I watched that. And it's because it just, I don't know, it's not something I expected just happening in this movie. Like, yeah, you get it, it's rated R, it's violent, there's language, all that, but it, you know, I don't expect the movie just opening with a kid dying. And it's also the way that happens. It's like, Mister, you forgot your brief. You know, it's just, it's kind of like a punchline. It feels like
it is kind of unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Just the kind of absurdity of that whole scene.
Yeah, the explosion was a little bit too big for how big and like for how light and small that briefcase looks.
Yeah, it was a huge explosion. Like, it completely.
The little girl's carrying it too.
It completely destroyed the entire shop that she was in.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was, yeah. It's just, it probably has something to do with the buildup of it all too, where it's just like, oh, la di da di da, light music because it's a little girl, and then, you know,
Yeah.
bang. But yeah, that in turn gets Elliot Ness's attention in the story. You know, little girl dies. I have to do something about it. Chicago's outlawed. And I think that's another reason why these tonal shifts don't work, is that, you know, it's this very, not stereotypical, but like, and I don't want to say tropey either, but it's this story you heard before. You know, one man puts you know, one man and a few others, you know, they stand up to the huge corruption in their city, and, you know, it's suicide mission basically. You know, everybody's on the payroll, why aren't you on the payroll? Because I believe in law. You know, that sort of story we've kind of heard before. And so when you
Like,
you have like these scenes of like really dark moments, it doesn't feel too right. That's just me.
it's very Seven Samurai. I was kind of getting that vibe from it. I don't know if you did as well. They kind of like assembled a team and everything.
I I I think I
Kind of.
saw some connections. Although I think it was just a I don't know. Maybe it's just cuz like again, a lot of people connect Seven Samurai with the get a team together to take down evil or do a mission, do a heist or you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe Brian De Palma hasn't even seen Seven.
Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Maybe he saw Magnificent Seven. Who knows?
Oh, maybe.
But yeah, wait, since we're in spoiler talk still, what did you think about half of this team dying in the movie? Because like
Um.
on my first watch, I didn't know that would happen. I kind of or well, my first watch was like recently, but like I didn't expect that to happen in the story. What was that like as your first watch?
Um. My first watch was in high school history class. Funnily enough, um, my teacher was cool. He let us watch rated R movies, even though we weren't old enough. But
Yeah,
um,
they do
seeing
that quite a bit in history. Like I'm pretty sure
yeah,
some schools put on Schindler's List or
yeah,
something that is historically relevant. But yeah, I wasn't shown the Untouchables during history class. I was I was shown Macbeth, like an adaptation of Macbeth in English class, and
mm,
and for law I watched oh, what was that called again? I forget what it's called. It has Kevin Spacey in it, and he plays a
House of Cards.
he plays a
Uh,
no,
that's a
he plays a
TV show.
district attorney.
Oh, jeez, I don't know.
Or sorry, not district attorney. Is it district attorney? Whatever. Some form of lawyer. Oh yeah, A Time to Kill.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey's in it.
I
What?
watched uh, I watched the what's the Shawshank Redemption in English class.
Oh yeah. Oh, come
Just
on, man. Really?
I watched some really good movies in school,
I
but
just
then I
watched
watched
I just watched shit.
they
This is pissing me off.
they showed us they put on Over the Hedge in grade 9 biology class.
Oh well,
Or
that didn't happen. So at least I was safe from that. Jesus.
for you Americans, grade 9 is like first year, like you're a freshman
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Mhm.
Over the
But
Hedge
yeah,
peak.
you watched, but I think we should get back on topic with
Yeah,
the
probably.
Untouchables. But yeah, you watched it in history class.
Yeah, we were learning about prohibition. Um, I don't know why he didn't just put on a documentary, but like I said, he was cool. He was a cool teacher, so he made us watch, war movies and you know the Untouchables. Um, but yeah, seeing a kid blow up in class was pretty funny. I think I don't really remember, but I think a lot of people probably laughed at that when that happened. But like, I didn't really remember much from my first watch. So seeing a lot of the characters die in my second watch, which was recently, um, it was very jarring.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, like I said, I didn't remember it, so it was like I was experiencing it all over again. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I made the connection to Seven Samurai, because the same thing
Oh
kind
yeah.
of happens.
Actually,
Like,
now that you mention it, I do see that. Um.
yeah, I guess the ending isn't quite the same. I mean, I guess this is spoilers for Seven Samurai too, but um, you know, they kind of lose more than they gain, or well, it's like a
Yeah.
bittersweet ending. But it wasn't really like that for this movie, because Elliot Ness at the end, he's like, "Oh, I think once prohibition's done, I'll go have a drink." Like that's like the final line of the movie.
Yeah.
So
I
he
think
does,
that's a fun line because
yeah,
it's like, it's not about like restricting people of alcohol or that wasn't Elliot Ness's mission. His mission was to just stop or just to uphold the law.
yeah,
That's what I got from that final line, was just, he's a man of his word and a man of the law,
mm-hmm.
and he'll like stand by whatever law is in place, or whatever. Or whatever. That is a good stamp to my point. But yeah.
I mean, it's probably not the best mark of a police officer to have. Just kind of upholding any law and like not questioning it. Um, but I guess he just wants to keep his job.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
listen, I'm not freaking Blue Lives Matter type person.
I know.
I do want to make that clear.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I think it's just goes to show, like, at least for Elliot Ness, like, I mean, even though he he straight up murders someone, but like anything that to his mind is like morally right and also put on, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't know. There is some morals that is a little bit weird, but when you like take it face value, you don't question it that much, and I think that
mm-hmm.
in itself is good storytelling, and you know. Oh yeah, going back to the stairwell scene.
I don't know.
That reminds me of just this topic of Elliot Ness being like such lawful person and such a good person at heart. the what did I write down? Oh yeah. I'd like to believe that Elliot Ness picked Sean Connery's character because he chose to scold him for littering. Like he saw that Sean Connery is such like his character is like so straight to the like straight by or right or wow, what's it called? Such a by the book officer that
Like straight,
decided to pick him because he littered. That's what I imagine. And also
yeah.
I write it, but yeah, sorry, I always lose my train of thought here. But yeah, there's also another note I wrote and this is why I mentioned the stairwell, is like I love how Elliot Ness is so lawfully good that he had to help that mother and her baby get up a flight of stairs, even though they're going to get into a gunfight. It's just
he's definitely he's definitely got the mark of a like a good-hearted person, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's why we enjoy him as a protagonist, and we're like cheering for him to take out Al Capone, because Al Capone, in comparison to Elliot Ness, is such an evil person. Let's talk about that a little bit. Al Capone, Robert De Niro, is insane.
Great
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground. I want piss in his ashes.
I absolutely loved his performance. I mean, Robert De Niro is a true talent.
He goes all out in this movie.
Yeah, he goes like full like mafia boss mode.
Like even in his biggest roles, his roles where he's like known for his greatest acting, he's very good at subtle acting. Like I hate to say this, but Taxi Driver, he is like very subtle in some of his scenes.
I was thinking of Taxi Driver too. I mean,
I don't want to mention Taxi Driver, even though it's a really good movie, just because of the little I guess the fan cam edits or whatever the hell they're called.
Oh, the the
where
Sigma
they just
grind set.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, not just that, just like I keep it in type person, like freaking American Psycho. Taxi Driver. Just
I can't with those.
But he is a very subtle actor when you think about it, especially if you can. And I'm gonna go another example outside of the Untouchables, but Heat. He is a lot more subdued and seems a lot more cold than like his co-star Al Pacino, or
Dunkachino.
No, but like Al Pacino goes crazy in Heat, but Robert De Niro is a lot more like, all right, this is the plan. It's a lot more calculated of a person. But in Untouchables, he is a short fuse person.
Yeah, he's very hot-headed and always wants his way, and like is just fucking crazy. He kills a guy for like no reason, like during a dinner scene.
Yeah. During that scene though, here's the thing about Brian De Palma. He knows how to make things or thrilling scenes unpredictable, and you kind of understand where it is going. We're like, who in this round table of mafioso guys is Al Capone gonna play whack-a-mole with,
Exactly.
And you can see like everybody there is just like, oh yeah, that's another thing. Everybody there is just agreeing with him, and it goes to show how intimidating he is. It's like everybody has to agree with him, laugh at his jokes, just all that.
It's a very commanding presence.
Yeah. No, I love, especially at the end where he's like, where his defense attorney is like, we changed the not guilty plea to guilty. He's like, all you have is a gun and a badge, or sorry, all you have is all you have is a gun and a badge. All you have is a gun and a badge, or something like that. It's just like starts kicking like a child. He's so enraged.
Yeah, he starts like beating up his lawyer. He's like yells at Elliot Ness. He's like, "Oh, you're nothing but a gun and a badge."
Yeah. It's a great scene though.
Yeah. He really made that movie.
He is
'Cause
definitely one of the highlights of the movie. But do you know what else is a highlight? And I want to talk about this just so we don't forget.
mhm.
The music. The music in this is probably like it is to me the highlight of the entire movie. Because
Yeah.
even though if I'm not buying a scene like, oh, this is cheesy, or oh, this is, you know, tonally it doesn't make any sense, the music just comes in and it's it just changes my mind. It's just like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Especially even the downtime in the movie. You know, there's great music that's playing. Specifically, there's a track here, Ness and his family. Uh,
Hmm.
God, it's beautiful, and same with the. Actually, I think the death theme and Ness and his family, like those two tracks, have very similar melodies, but one of them is. It feels a lot more melancholic, and the other one feels like very caring. Neo Morricone, uh, Marone, he he like everybody knows this. He's a great composer. You know, composer of the good and bad and the ugly. Uh, you know, a bunch of other spaghetti western films.
Mhm.
You know, and I think that's what adds on to the, you know, whole western feel of some of the scenes as well.
Yeah.
Is the music, and I mean I'm not gonna bash the music here. This is it's. Whew.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes that it had a tense soundtrack,
Yeah,
which I think, I mean, a lot of the scenes are very tense.
they're tense. They're or you know, you have courageous theme, you have a
Yeah.
melancholic theme. All of it works out really well. Uh, the Al Capone theme, where it's just da na 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 ba na 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 na.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
track.
Oh, it feels grandiose and almost like, I guess, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I just know it's good. you know.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna.
it's very hard to describe music in a film. It just, it works. It's really
It
good.
works. If it works, it works.
It
And
works.
the score for the Untouchables, it works.
It just works.
It just works. But yeah, I don't know what else to add other than, you know, production design's great. Acting.
Mhm.
Oh, we haven't gotten to acting. The acting is it, it is what it's needed. I do like Sean Connery's performance the best, and I think a lot of people agree with that, especially the Academy, which gave him the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and it was the only Oscar that this film got. So, I mean,
Really?
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was nominated for other things, art direction, which, yeah. Did I mention that already? Production design? If not, it's
Um,
good.
well, there's something I wanted to mention about that. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah?
The when the film opens, it says that the wardrobe was designed by Giorgio Armani, who, I mean, famous fashion designer, I
Oh,
think
really?
it really worked. Yeah, it really works for the film. I think because like that means it's like real suits. You know, they're not like you know.
I need to search this up. Hold on. Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I noticed.
Oh, of course, IMDb is a stuttering freaking mess when I open it.
Yeah, IMDb is really, really, really fast nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
He's worked on a couple of movies.
I don't know if that was worth mentioning, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I guess you don't really see that every day.
He's worked on a few films. Just a wardrobe for a couple characters.
Hmm.
he apparently, I just looked at this. Costume designer Brad Pitt's evening attire. So I'm guessing that's for the scene where he goes Gorlami.
Oh, bro.
The Glorious Bastards.
Yeah.
So that great white suit. It's thank you.
Arrivederci. Thank you, Armani, for making that glorious scene come to life.
With this beautiful suit.
Yes.
But yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I also want. Like, production design. Yeah. Suit, costumes. Whatever. Point is, great movie.
Yes. I think we were talking about acting.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's something I want to bring up.
All right.
Kevin Costner's performance wasn't great.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
very
here's the
over
thing about Kevin
dramatic.
Costner. Yeah, that's the thing about Kevin Costner. He either plays the very grizzled man, doing the right things, or just like, and I don't know. It's maybe it's because like we're watching these movies in retrospect of his like with his almost his entire career like being out there, but he's played the same character like all the time. Of just
he always plays this kind of character like a kind of goody guy.
Yeah.
Lawful good guy.
Yeah, lawfully good. Well, Al Capone is in the chaotic evil.
Yeah, kind of like
stopped.
Yeah, kind of like the leading man kind of roles. Like, oh, I'm a big tough guy, and I'm gonna save the world. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like old Hollywood.
But then, I think what balances that out. Didn't mean to interrupt, but I think what balances that out is like the other characters in there. Because I mean, I don't know. They bounce off of each other really well. I think we had like Kevin Costner, who's usually like leading role and is usually alone in that leading role. You kind of have sort of an ensemble cast with this movie. Like you definitely have slightly big names surrounding him. Or like slightly big names at the time. They are big names now. Although one actor, I forget their name, who plays Oscar, or the accountant guy. I think his name is Oscar. Yeah, Oscar Wallace. Charles Martin Smith, who, I thought I remembered him, and I was like, he's played this nerdy character before, and he has in American Graffiti, which was a movie I watched before. It's a the George Lucas movie he made before Star Wars.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
And so I don't know. I think when the whole ensemble is there, it's a lot better. Instead of just leaving Kevin Costner all alone, because even though even the scenes where he's spending time with his family, he's like, yeah, we get it. You have to do your job. You love your family, and you're I don't know. It's just we love you, Kevin, but you gotta switch it up sometimes.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not a standout performance. It's one of those movies where the supporting characters have a better sort of character than the main character,
Yeah.
which it isn't a problem, I guess. I mean, some of my favorite movies are like that.
Yeah,
But
and like Sexy Beast is like that. One of the movies I watched this week. You know, or Ben Kingsley, he like takes over the entire movie with his performance.
yeah,
And I think definitely who does that is Sean Connery's character. He's very quotable in this movie.
the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Like I think of that every time I watch this movie.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang. He's such a character.
Yeah.
He's like an Irish stereotype, but I don't know. I love him. I love his character. It really brings life to this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there's other actors who bring life to it, but yeah.
No, he's definitely a highlight though.
Yeah.
Same with Robert De Niro. But
Yeah. I think De Niro's performance was my favorite.
It's a lot of people's favorite. He's not even in there a lot. You don't think about it that much. He's like, he just pops in and out sometimes, but then he's not the main focus of it.
Yeah, they focus more on his kind of henchmen, trying to get them first, and then go after Robert De Niro or Al Capone, I guess.
Yeah. No. I think that's all I have to say about the movie. What about you?
Here endeth the discussion.
Here. Hey. Callbacks.
Callback.
Yeah. No, I gave it an 8. You gave, if I remember correctly, you gave it an 8.
Yeah, 4 out of 5.
We both enjoyed it similarly.
Yeah. Would recommend it.
Now, a movie I enjoyed better, especially on second watch, is the second movie we've watched this for this episode. I recommended it as soon as Nick recommended The Untouchables, and so here it is. Blowout. What did you think about it?
I think Blowout is a great movie. I think I might have liked it more than The Untouchables.
Yeah. I definitely did. If you look at the rating now, I gave it an 8 before, but it has now changed.
Oh.
Yeah. I will not say what yet. Oh, well, I mean, you can see it on my Letterboxd page at Spence. Okay. Sorry. Needless shill. I had to.
It's in the description.
Yes, it's in the descriptions. Check our profiles out. But yeah, I recommended it as soon as you recommended The Untouchables, because and I think I'm right now that I think about it. This movie has a lot more stylization to it than the Untouchables.
I definitely agree with that. Mostly because, I mean, if you haven't heard of it, it's about like a sound designer that witnesses like a car accident. Um, but because of that, it's very sound based. So these sounds kind of are like thematic through lines
Yeah.
throughout the entire movie. Like, you hear this like whirring sound of like almost like a I don't even know, like a, it kind of sounds like a, frick, it's the bad guy's watch. That's what I'm.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that it's like a motif throughout the film,
Yeah.
like a zzz, 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 just
Yeah.
pulling on that line. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember watching this movie, on drive to Ottawa because I'm Canadian.
Going to Ottawa, eh? Going to
I'm
Ottawa.
Canadian. I'm just applauding myself.
You're applauding yourself for being Canadian.
That's probably the worst thing to applaud myself for.
It's not much to be proud about.
No, but I watched it on my phone, and I remember hearing about it being one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies, and also I wanted to watch the Francis Ford Coppola movie, The Conversation, and I was like, oh, these two seem like they have a lot in common. Let me watch both of them as a double feature. Hey,
Whoa.
I know. I was thinking maybe I should have saved Blowout for with The Conversation, but the more I think about it, the less, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more it is a unique film in comparison to The Conversation. Now, you haven't watched The Conversation, so I won't spoil much about it, but I'll just say it's a lot less. It's a lot more minimalistic in its approach. A lot more, not patient, but just less going on in the movie. It's very more focused. Here, it's kind of like a rush to find out information, and it also is a lot more stylized.
Yeah, there's a lot more at stake,
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Yeah, and I talk a lot about stylization, and I have to say, if Untouchables is about Brian De Palma and how he can construct a good movie, this is him constructing a movie in his style. He can do it with and without a style, or at least older De Palma, or sorry, newer, not newer, whatever. Past De Palma. That's probably a better way to say it. Past De Palma.
Yeah. It almost feels like a blank check movie, kind of like very auteur. And the Untouchables felt more like a very, I guess, by the books. Yeah, like a studio project, like a safe kind of, not gonna lose a lot of money project.
Yeah. No, and sadly, that's what the box office kind of shows. This movie kind of failed domestically. It got $12 million back on a $18 million budget, which,
Ooh.
yeah, back then I think was quite a bit.
It's not good.
No, and it sucks because this
Mm-hmm.
this is a really good movie.
Yeah.
It, like, stylistically, it's way stronger than the Untouchables. A lot more
Yeah.
color to it. I wrote down in my, like, you see glimpses of it in the Untouchables. Like, I wrote down, like, there's still De Palma style to it. You have the split diopter. You have, like, the neon lights during the scene where Sean Connery's character beats up his old buddy in the from the Force, and you have, like, the neon red lights and all that. But here he just goes all out with his style, and I love that. Even if it's flawed, there's a couple flawed parts to it. You can kind of, yeah. I'll get into spoilers about that, but it's still a very unique style. Style.
Style.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You mentioned this already. Sound. When you have a film like Blowout, which establishes that a character is heavily, or is involved with audio equipment, or does sound for movies or whatever, you always expect it to have great sound, and I'm very happy to say that Blowout has great sound. This, like, in this second watch, I paid more attention to the sound, and I didn't notice any faults. I'm not even joking. And, like, the only faults that was in this movie involving sound was during the fake, like, exploitation slasher that John Travolta's character is working on. That is, and I'm not talking about the Scream, and which I'll talk about later, because that is a funny plot point in this movie. But yeah, you just have some parts in it in that movie that are bad, but I think that's intentional. What did you think of the sound? Because I appreciated it, especially on a second watch. What did you think of it on the first watch? Because that was the high point of this movie for me.
I usually don't watch a movie with headphones on, but I gotta say, doing that for this movie was definitely a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was an unconscious decision or if I like wanted to watch it with headphones, but it was definitely a good choice because it felt so much more atmospheric.
Yeah.
It has a lot. It has really good, atmosphere. It definitely, the sound makes things makes each scene like very tense. Well, not each scene, but a lot of the scenes are enhanced by the sound.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you talk about atmosphere, this is kind of why I don't know. I don't think of the Untouchables as fondly as I as I did after watching it. Was because you watch this movie and you think to yourself, geez, Brian De Palma is like such a good auteur, or has like such a strong style, and also knows how to
Mm-hmm.
use it effectively. You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially that last scene. Maybe we're gonna get into spoilers, but I don't know how soon. But if you want to do it now, because like a lot of the impact of this movie specifically happens at the end of it.
Yeah, I think we're getting into spoiler territory,
Yeah.
so you might want to skip through this. But yeah, um,
Go to the
that
end where we talk about the next series of movies, or we're gonna have next episode. But yeah, um, spoilers. This the ending is so heartbreaking. It's it's
yeah,
like yeah,
um,
it's so crushing. And I never expected that from this movie the first time watching it. Uh, I remember I wrote a review for it um, right when I watched it. It's a shitty review, and I hope nobody gets to see it. Um, I'm gonna leave it up though. But my initial review for Blowout has a kind of a lot of the things I have to say right now, which is surprising because at the age of 16, I still had a good sense of film. But yeah, what did I write here? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I and that ending is crushing is what I wrote. And it is. And I was like, and that ending is crushing because I didn't remember much about the movie ever since because I watched it 3 years ago. So revisiting it now and watching it for a second time and watching that ending, like, even though it was coming back to me as I was watching it, like, that final scene was so heartbreaking. It it's like kind
hmm
of
it
kind
completely
of
blew me away.
yeah. It's just like Jesus Christ, man. Like it, and I think I'm gonna go straight to John Travolta after mentioning the other aspects of the ending. But like, this is where Brian De Palma's style works. Is just like that final scene where John Travolta is holding Sally uh, in his arms as fireworks are going on around him, and it's like this huge sweeping shot. And I kind of criticized it at first in my head. I remember I was like, oh, that shot looks wonky because they're obviously filming in front of a blue screen, but it's comped in really well. Like, it still feels like they're sort of there, and the impact of the scene is still there.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, there's kind of like a thick outline on their silhouettes.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very observant like that, but that's my nitpicking ass, just being a nitpicker. But yeah, no, it's that ending there is all De Palma, and yeah, it's good. I don't know what else to say. It's just it's great. Um, but going to performances here and characters. John Travolta's character and him acting it is beautiful because you know he's a smart guy in this movie. He's not a dummy.
mm-hmm.
And like immediately he knows something is up. He's also a good-hearted person too. Like, you know, he feels human in this. He feels like an actual human being in this, and he plays it really well. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't expect John Travolta to play like a normal guy and it to actually work, but here it works.
Yeah.
You know, he plays Jack, sound designer, and he seems like he actually knows what the hell he's talking about. That's the thing with some movies. It's just like they don't know what the you have these actors and they're acting out like complicated stuff or specifics of an occupation, and they talk about it as if they just read about it yesterday, and it takes you out of the story. But here John Travolta plays this character really well, and I think the reason why he does that, or he did that in this movie, and is because he's worked with De Palma before. He was in the Carrie film. He plays the bully in that. So I think knowing De Palma before and now being a lead in his movie, I think that helped out a lot. They probably have like great chemistry working together, and so maybe that's why his performance is so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Travolta's character and everything he does too, and this is like the writing. It's like, you have his backstory where he was working with the audio of undercover cops, and like, he's the one that attaches the wire to them when wiretapping, and he's already messed up before, and so you get the idea that, like, he's doing this. He's trying to dig into this conspiracy of what happened to what's his name? His character is really not that important, but he's like the candidate, like the presidential candidate, the governor.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember his name, but he's just like the governor.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like he dies, and the
yeah.
It's so we don't really get to know him.
Yeah, I forget his name. But anyway, his like investment into this like mystery makes a lot of sense, because he's spent a lot of time with like investigators. Like he was a part of investigations, and so his motives are clear and they're understandable, and that's why I think we as audience members we're just like drawn to him. Like, I'm explaining the obvious, but sometimes it's good to point out the obvious, and the obvious is that Travolta's good.
Travolta good. Now,
yes. Co-star on the other hand, this person plays Sally. Nancy Allen.
I have it written down.
Mm-hmm. Initially, I think I remember. Initially, I didn't like her character because this is what I wrote down. She's sort of dim, and I don't mean that as a rude thing, but she's just clearly. What's the word? She's clearly like, her character is supposed to be like very arrogant to the situation that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, after the crash, she's just like, oh, I don't know. It was a job. I did the job. Now I'm out of here. Even though, like, John Travolta's like, you're in danger. I have to help you out here. You're in danger here. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, you work in movies? Like, she comes off as very much, not uneducated. I don't know how else to say it, but just, dim. But it's not to the point where it's annoying. I think I found her annoying before, but it's not like it's not realistic, There's some people that are just like that. They're just, like, oh yeah, yada yada, this happened. I'm doing, I'm moving on in life. I'm gonna keep going in life. Can't let that stop me. So I on a second watch, it was a lot more understandable, I guess. But yeah, what did you think of her character?
I think she was kind of not telling Jack everything that he wanted
Oh
to
yeah,
hear purposely.
that's another thing, right? She's like leaving out a lot of details in her conversations, and it's only when like that scene where John Travolta Jack is just like completely digging in her, and he's like he's just like stressed out. He's like because he knows something that like she doesn't, essentially, or like
Mm.
has a feeling that she doesn't, and so he's just like, you have to tell me the truth. He's like, well, and she's like very nonchalant about it. But it's a realistic chemistry, and I liked it. I don't know, I just liked it.
I think yeah, I liked their scenes together. Especially the one where it ends with her saying, "I'll look after my own ass, thank you." That's the last line of one of the scenes, and it's just so, I think it's just so unintentionally funny.
Yeah, and I mean,
Or it's probably supposed to be
it's very
funny.
much in character too. You could tell that she like, because her line of work, as we find out later, is sort of like a blackmailer. She's like
Mm.
the bait, and she works with someone. What's his name again? He's the photographer, Mandy Carp, or Manny Carp.
Yeah, Manny Curb.
Uh, he but yeah, and I don't know. For that kind of line of work, I think you have to be very comfortable in your skin, and she comes off as such. Like everything,
Mm.
every motivation that these characters have is very detailed. The more you think about it, and everything just clicks. And
Mm.
those are the type of movies I love, where you just don't have to think about it. You're just like, oh yeah, that makes sense, and you
Exactly.
keep watching the story unfold.
Mm. She also kind of looks like Carrie Fisher. I wrote
Oh
that
yeah.
in my notes. It was kind of weird because I thought I was
Oh
looking at
yeah.
her. I was looking at her in the movie and I was like, she kind of looks like Carrie Fisher. I'm
I
like,
didn't
no, it
know
can't be.
this. Or actually, yeah, I didn't know this, but it makes a lot of sense now that I see it. She was in RoboCop. She was what's his name's partner, RoboCop's partner.
Oh,
Yeah, Alex
the
Murphy. Oh yeah. No, that's also why she looked so familiar to me. Another aspect I like about Blowout is the tone, and we talked about this already in the Untouchables, and how the tone was a little bit strange at points, and like going from like a darker tone to a lighter tone. Here, the tone is a lot more consistent, I believe, and even goes into places that I wasn't expecting. Like there's
yeah.
some funny moments in this movie. Like the
Mhm.
the the entire like the whole like Jack's job before this entire mystery um like pops up that he's trying to solve. He's trying to fix his scream in one of the trashy horror movies he's making. And it's actually a good bit of comedy that shows up throughout the movie, where you just
Mhm.
have like, you hear the scream where it goes, oh, oh. Like it, it works though, somehow. And I I I I just have to praise De Palma, because like it's definitely someone who knows how to make a movie, who knows how to do balancing acts like that. You know, keeping a tone, making sure, you know, how evidence is revealed, or aspects of this mystery are revealed, are not in a cheesy way, but in a way that us, the audience, can be like, oh yeah, you know, along with the characters, instead of like, well, I would have guessed that, you know, because there are some mystery movies where you're just like, oh well, that's stupid, but here I never thought of it that way at all.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a cleverly constructed sort of mystery that he has to solve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one thing you have to appreciate, if we're gonna start talking about like the mystery aspect of it, is the entire setup of it. It's it's really good. And the more you think about it, you're like, wow, they're adding on more to this, because, you know, in the scene, Jack is just trying to capture a bunch of sound effects, and you learn from that like he enjoys doing this, because like he's just recording different, like, other things than what he's assigned to do, which was just to record the wind blowing in the trees, and but he also is like recording the toad, the owl, the two people that are making out like on the walkway of the river, and you're like, he's staring at us, you know, just like he's just like enjoying recording all this, and then the car comes along. Sound effects. But the way that, like, Jack, John Travolta's character just pieces everything together is actually it's fascinating. You know, you have, you know, different aspects that pop up. You know, you have the cord, the strangle cord that John Lithgow's character has, and we'll talk about his character later, because I think, like, his character is really scary and genuinely intimidating, but in a different way from. Eh?
I have a couple things to say about him later, so I'll get into.
I swear to God, if it's about Shrek, but
Shrek.
Yeah, John Lithgow plays Farquhar.
Does he?
Yeah, he's a famous character actor. Yeah.
Interesting.
Damn. Yeah, it is. No, we can talk about his character later, but you know, you have that tying effect, and it's coming from somewhere that we really don't know where, but you know, Jack, he captures that noise, right? And you also have the part where Jack jumps into the water to save Sally, and you have oh my God, what's his name? I forget his name already.
The governor.
No, Mandy Carp. You see him like from under the bridge, and he's like running away, and you think, oh, he did it. No, he's the one that's taking pictures, and later on, those pictures are used to piece together this mystery. It's like, it's such an interesting way to just like set this, like, I think that's what a lot of mysteries do, that where they just like set up this entire scene, you know, the pivotal scene but you have to solve you know, this mystery, and you're along with them, you know, you have all these little hints, and and the main character pieces it together, and you're like, oh yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work though, right? Most of the time it doesn't work, where you're just like, oh, well, that was cheap. You didn't give us that information, you know. Just a piece of information comes out, but you have kind of everything on the table, and it's sort of how like Knives Out. It's the reason why Knives Out works, specifically in Glass Onion, and I won't spoil anything from that movie, but everything that happens in that movie is in camera, but you don't notice it until you're like, you rewatch it again. or you pay very, very close attention to everything. And so
it's just stuff you don't really think about in the moment.
yeah, and that relies entirely on the director to sort of trick you into like being like, have that go on, but then the center, like the focus of the frame being somewhere else, so most people won't catch it their first viewing. Is that sort of thing that I enjoy about movies, especially in and it also makes mystery movies like these, like this one, more rewatchable because of that, because you rewatch and you're like, oh yeah, they did show that, or you get more details as you rewatch it and you're like, oh, okay, it's much more enjoyable and much more memorable. And that's why I think Brian De Palma is the best. Don't at me. No. Yeah, I really do appreciate every I appreciate this movie a lot more in terms of its technical aspects, or its storytelling aspects.
For sure.
But there is one aspect I have to say not a big fan of, and I don't know if you feel the same way. And this is my only negative with it, other than like a few nitpicks. But the music is not the greatest, and especially in comparison to the Untouchables. The music feels very dated and not in a charming way. It's sort of now you kind of have to keep in mind when this movie was released, 1981. So disco was dying at this point, right? Trust me, this is important. And so you have this soundtrack for a pretty intense and sometimes dark, especially at the end, a very dark movie. And for those darker moments, it works. But then you have like these scenes of suspense that happen, and you have like this disco infused like chase theme, and it sounds cheap. Like it just doesn't fit, in my opinion. It's like extremely dated.
I can't say that I remember it that much. I don't really pay attention to soundtracks in movies. I've been trying to get better at it though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, some people focus on different aspects. I try to focus as much as I can. Whatever aspects are catching my attention during the scene, I'll pay attention to it. And especially now that I'm giving my full attention to it, instead of watching it on my phone while I'm traveling to Ottawa because I'm Canadian. Am I trying to dox myself? I need to shut up. But yeah, it's like I like on a rewatch, every aspect has gotten better in my mind except for the music. I said in my original review, and I didn't remember this when we were watching it. I didn't read my review until like after I watched it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna compare if I feel the same way. And I didn't for a lot of aspects except for the music. The music I wrote down as odd, and I think that's the best way to describe it, because it's just, you have a bunch of different styles of music instead of different tones of music for different tone. Well, actually, you have different styles for different tones, but it doesn't work. They don't feel like they came from the same sort of movie. They feel like they've been grabbed from different movies, and it just doesn't work for this story or for this movie.
I could see that.
But yeah, other than that, that is my only gripe with it. And I mean, it's not like it's bad music either. It's listenable music, which is the most important thing. but it doesn't. And one scene, the ending scene, like the music works for that scene, but otherwise, I had a tough time, like, I don't know, enjoying the music as much as like the other aspects of the film.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes that I apparently when I was watching this, I loved the soundtrack. Um,
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some pieces of the soundtrack that I enjoyed, but overall it's a little messy, and there's not
yeah,
enough to, and it sucks because like I in my opinion it keeps it kind of doesn't elevate the story. It doesn't help elevate the entire movie. It's sort of like the entire movie's carrying the soundtrack instead of the soundtrack helping the movie. And because of
yeah.
that, I think it like it kind of like, I don't know, it gets in the way sometimes.
Mhm.
It stops me from calling it completely perfect, or not perfect, but like a one that would recommend to everyone.
So it's like being bottlenecked
Yeah,
almost.
that I think that's what I mean to say is
Yeah,
it's kind of bottlenecking like the rest of the movie for me.
that's fair.
Did you have any issues with the movie?
Um, I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I can't say that there's a lot I didn't like about it. Um,
Oh, there's one technical aspect I want to talk about, but yeah. Anything in your
hmm.
notes about it?
Oh, nothing in my notes.
Okay.
It's all just positive stuff, really.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a good movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. My opinion, better than the Untouchables for sure. Like you said.
Yeah.
Um, the scene I did want to talk about too that involved technical aspects. The 360 shot around Jack's office or workspace when he finds out that every single tape that he has in his office has been erased was really good. Where the
Oh yeah.
camera's just, yeah, like spinning around his entire room, and John Travolta's just like going from tape to tape, making sure like all of them are like seeing if all of them are erased is like a
Mhm.
great scene of suspense and just filmmaking, in my opinion. It good.
Yeah.
Me likey.
Me like you the 360 scene.
Me likey all the technical aspects. Again, lighting is a lot more lively, especially with a lot of the there's a lot more neon in it. And I mean, I can
Mhm.
excuse the fact that the Untouchables don't have a lot of neon. It takes place in 1930.
Yeah.
It has an excuse. Um,
Mhm.
but I do like the fact that this has a lot more color in it, especially like neon. I'm a sucker for that. I will bow down to any movie that has neon or beautiful colors in it.
Blade Runner 2049.
Shut up. I know. It's my
Favorite
favorite
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, no. Watching this a second time has definitely helped me appreciate it a lot more. And I hoped you enjoyed it. Like like me taking a quick peek of your letterbox showed that you did enjoy it. So
Oh yeah, it's very good. Um, it's a very very niche film, which I think
I
is a good
hmm,
thing.
it's It's interesting you say that, because I don't think it's as niche. I think that there are moments in it that are a lot are kind of different when comparing it to like Hollywood movies at that time. But I still found it very much accessible. I mean, I'm surprised it didn't have like cult classic written on it, because like I don't know, I don't hear a lot of people talk about it outside of the film sphere, or like film bros and film buffs and shit, like
film students.
Yeah, film students. Well, I don't even hear film students talk about it, at least. Yeah. Me
neither.
But yeah, a lot of film buffs like this. I sucks that it's not bigger in bigger of a name. I guess they just need come on, TikTok, get on that, all right? Where are you? Make Blowout big again.
Post the entire movie. Just
post the entire movie on
give away
TikTok.
The ending.
Don't give away the ending, you
You know they're going to. If it goes on TikTok, they're gonna be like, oh my god, the scream was made into the movie the whole time, or whatever.
Or at the end they put the scream that, because he's so haunted. It's so sad. It's so strong. Watch it. Why should I watch it? You just gave it mother. I don't know. I'm not on film TikTok. Maybe I just made a fool out of myself, but yeah.
It's like that TikTok girl voice. It's like,
look at this video I just found. Or look at this movie I just found. John Travolta is so hot.
John Travolta literally puts someone's death scream into the movie.
Look at how sad he is.
Go watch the movie now.
The movie called Blowout. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just
blow up. Let's talk about John Lithgow.
Oh yeah, I was about to wrap this whole thing up without mentioning the beautiful John Lithgow. You know what? He's a great actor. he's an amazing actor in this. Because and what works to his benefit is his look. He looks friendly. He does. But he's like this cold, calculated psychopath that's like gone rogue. Like the initial person that hired him is like he doesn't like listen to him anymore. He's just like, I'm gonna do this for you. But I don't want to, you motherfucker. It's kind of like that. Yeah. I think that's what makes him scary. And what did you think about the him turning into like this serial killer that is killing like a bunch of people that looks similar to Nancy Allen's character in this movie?
Well, I think a lot of the scenes where he's like in the phone booth talking to the dude, he kind of comes across at first as kind of like a cartoony villain, but as the movie goes on, he becomes a lot more kind of like nuanced, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if I feel very similar about that. I think he I mean, I guess if all you believe is he's gonna be like this, he's gonna be a silent killer, just like randomly murdering people, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, but I don't know. Maybe I felt like that when I initially watched this movie, but I think with the power of hindsight, and also this being my second watch, I don't really feel the same way. I think he like. I mean, even in the scene in the phone booth where he's just like putting on this southern accent, like reporting in what is he reporting about? I forget what he's doing. But he's like
pretending. Wasn't he pretending to be a news anchor?
Oh, that's like later on, but like
that's later
in the phone booth, before he like switches up the cuts the lines or disconnects the lines from Jack's phone, but he puts on like this southern voice, and he does it with a flat face, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so scared," and, you know, like putting on this act, and it's like really terrifying.
Yeah, I think that
it's
was
like laughing without smiling, or, you know, like laughing without any emotion. It's freaky.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that was a good performance.
Yeah. No, he's a great character actor for sure. Farquhar though is his best performance. Don't at me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, about performances, I know John Lithgow from the showcase series Dexter.
Oh.
Yeah, he plays like the most probably the most like fan favorite serial killer on that show. I mean, if you don't know what Dexter is, it's a show where a serial killer kills serial killers.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He like hunts them down or whatever. So yeah, I know him from there. So I know how good of an actor he could be, and when I saw him in this, I saw he was going to be in this movie, I was excited. And I guess that's why I kind of expected a lot from his performance, and maybe why I thought that he was cartoony at first. I don't know.
Slow start sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is slow to begin with, but it just like, you know, builds up into this like high octane thriller. Like there's sort of an energy at the start of the movie before the crazy opening titles, by the way, which are just where blowout just pops up after like car crash noise. And so
it's like the modulator thing,
the levels, level meter going up, and
like the little arrow. Like,
but yeah, before that there's that clip of the fake movie, and it's like sort of more high energy, and then it goes down again, and then it builds up and up and up and up and up until the end. And so, yeah, I don't know. Slow start.
The ending with the bad scream in the shower.
You mean, what do you mean the bad scream? Oh yeah. Or where the bad scream was, and then like this funny scene turns into like this horrific memory that this character has. It's like, it's an interesting decision, actually, now that I think about it right now. Yeah.
The director in the first scene, he's like, I didn't hire that girl for her scream. I hired her for her tits. It's just such a funny line. Like those scenes in the recording booth are really funny on their own.
We're just shaking each other.
Oh yeah.
No, it's a very detailed movie, very layered, and I think that's why I didn't appreciate that in my first viewing. Yeah, but
Mm.
now that I watched it a second time, um, I have to change that rating. Um, yeah. Unless if wait, actually, before we give ratings, any anything else you want
Oh,
to add?
there is one thing I want to mention. That kind of bugged me.
Oh, critique.
Travolta's character, like, he almost immediately tries to riz up the
Oh,
riz up Sally,
yeah,
and it's kind of like a dated sort of thing in movies. So like, oh, like this really vulnerable person is like, I want to riz them up.
yeah.
It's just
Well,
kind of
I thought that at first, but I don't know. The more it doesn't seem like it's done in the way where it's like the John Travolta is like very forceful about it. You
yeah.
can like just, I think, and this is just me picking up on little details. Maybe this is just I don't know how the scene was set up, and maybe I'm looking too much into it. But I think John Travolta's character knows boundaries in in that like in the movie, not in real life. Real life is a different story. You can just search him up, and you'll probably find a cringe compilation somewhere. But he's done some weird things
Adele
outside,
Dazim.
Scientology. Uh,
Adele Dazim.
Adele, yeah, that's what I was thinking of, because where they there's a moment where like what's the actual actress's name? I forget her name.
Oh fuck.
She's
Idina
Elsa in
Menzel.
Frozen. Adita Menzel. Yeah.
Idina Menzel. Yeah.
Like there's a part where she comes back and like mispronounces John Travolta's name as a haha funny joke, and he comes up and he's like fucking holding her by the face, and it's so weird. He's like complimenting her, but it's still so bizarre. It's like half threatening, but he's being nice. It's just
He he doesn't have a very trustworthy face. I think that's
John Travolta
just
does not have a trustworthy face. You know what? As the years go on, I can't help but agree with you on that.
I think that's a good spot to end off our blowout discussion.
You know what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here. Keep
Yeah.
getting sidetracked, but yeah. I originally gave this an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 because on second watch I can just appreciate everything else. Like sound editing is like something worth studying if you like want to learn about film. Like this is a great movie for it. Uh, Great performances. Uh, Great
I mean,
writing and directing. I think very essential viewing for those who are you know trying to get into film because there's a lot of filmmaking aspects that you can learn from here.
the technology is very outdated now because they use like the old sort of um, sound techniques. So like taping, like
Yeah,
taping
on
things
tape.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think they record to a cassette or something.
Yeah,
I don't
magnetic
know.
tape was what they recorded on before. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's like a lot of audio stuff. And even like even though they're outdated, you can still understand everything. And I think that's
yeah.
a plus for the directing.
Hmm.
So yeah. Give you a rating?
I originally gave it an 8 out of 10. on Letterboxd, but I think I might bump it up to 9 out of 10 because I think it's a lot better than I thought it was.
Copycat. No, but yeah, no, we definitely enjoyed this movie for sure. There's a reason why it's on the Criterion Collection.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's how I initially watched it first, was because it was on the Criterion channel, because I'm a f***ing film nerd and an artsy fartsy mother. I have no life. Anyways, on the next episode of Double Feature, we're gonna be watching a famous adaptation that that has kind of garnered a cult following, but it bombed when it first came out, and we have its remake. Nick, do you want to do the honors?
Watching Dune 1984, and we're watching Dune 2021.
Yep.
On the next episode.
Dune Part 1.
Because Part 2 is coming out, so
we want to cash in on that.
Yeah. We're shameless.
We're hacks.
We're hack frauds. We're only in this for the money.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's not true.
No, that's not true.
We like talking about movies.
We love you all.
Yeah, we don't know you, but we love you.
Yeah. We have absolutely no clue who the you are, but we love you. Anyways, This is the end of the podcast. Make sure if you're on YouTube, like the video. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, if I can set that thing up, please give it a good. Please rate it 5 stars if you do like it, and keep following, because we're gonna try and post these episodes every 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever. We're gonna try. And
yeah,
that's it. All right.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Have a good time.
Watch good movies.
Or watch bad ones. We can't tell you what to do.
Do whatever. It's it though. It's your life.